To be honest, we take good multiplayer experiences for granted. Sure, they're a dime a dozen, but only a handful of them stand the test of time and complement the experience we have on our own in single-player campaigns. Back in the day when couch co-op at your friend's house was the closest thing to multiplayer that you could imagine getting, what with download speeds back at your place measured in days as opposed to megabytes, multiplayer experiences have come a far way in being more accessible and generally more fun. But slapping on an online feature isn't always a formula for a game's success. The success of a new IP with a multiplayer platform is a delicate balance between many factors, and not every publisher can catch lightning in a bottle. That said, today we're talking about 5 titles that went all in on online experiences only to eventually lose it all and become distant memories in the history of gaming. These games aren't listed in any particular order, but they're some of my favorites, or titles I wish I could have played that I just can't play online anymore or will no longer be supported in the future. Number 1, Evolve. Published by Turtle Rock Studios, the company behind the past hit Left 4 Dead, Evolve promised to change the game with its asymmetrical multiplayer shooter platform, allowing its players to live out their power fantasies as monstrous beasts chowing down on helpless wildlife and unsuspecting hunters. While the concept seemed promising, apparently the title was destined to fail as it was caught up in a tumultuous on-again, off-again relationship between publishers Valve and THQ. It didn't help that Turtle Rock tacked on DLC as a critical component of gameplay before the game even launched, charging obscene prices to unlock season passes featuring characters and skins. But it wasn't just the shady business practices that proved to be this title's downfall. The gameplay, which was often imbalanced, left players wanting more, a void that DLC simply could not fill. To the game's credit, being a monster often was a blood-pumping experience, but the experience was massively one-sided. You either had a bad monster, which often led to matches that lasted less time than it took to get connected to a game, or you had an uber-experienced good monster that ended the match just as quickly. Hunting the monster wasn't as gratifying as it could have been. Everyone must play the role right, but it really boils down to the dance between the trapper and the monster. Oftentimes, an inexperienced trapper meant you'd be playing a game of cat and mouse for 15 to 20 minutes, and by then it's too late, as the monster would have leveled up to level 3 and destroyed the relay. In general, if you could imagine, this game had a very steep learning curve, which no doubt turned off a large majority of its audience. All that said, with all of its flaws, I still had a ton of fun with this unique title, and I'm disappointed its developers couldn't have found a better solution than shutting it down. Number 2, Transformers: War for Cybertron. Come on guys, how long have we been waiting for a good Transformers game? I remember when this title first launched, playing the demo at Best Buy and being awed by the level design that featured larger than life set pieces and theatrical elements. Every layer seemed like something was going on, and for me, this was the evolution of next-gen gaming on the PS3 and Xbox 360. When I finally got the title home and discovered it had multiplayer, I wondered if it would hold on to what made the campaign so special. In fact, it did that and more, with massive, detailed maps that made it possible to traverse quickly on foot or in vehicle form, unique player classes, and fun gameplay modes like Escalation, where you would fight hordes of enemies, earning energy and purchase upgrades as you progress. There was nothing more satisfying than bolting through the skies as a jet, transforming, sucker punching an unsuspecting Decepticon and making a clean getaway back in jet form. The only experience that managed to up the testosterone-fueled badassery was Fall of Cybertron, where you would play as a mech dinosaur, but that's a review for another day. It wasn't until 2020, nearly a decade later, when Activision decided to pull the plug on multiplayer for War for Cybertron. A shame too, as this had one of the best multiplayer experiences of the generation. Number 3, Infinite Crisis. I had a special relationship with Infinite Crisis in that it was my first MOBA, and it was the only game I was pretty decent at. What drew me in primarily was the collectible art and the idea of playing as your favorite characters from the DC universe. But discovering this game was a happy accident. If you had shown me a trailer for this game at any other time, I would have assumed it was one of those cheap mobile games you see advertised along rip-off gambling simulators. It wasn't until this game just happened to pop up in my Steam library did I think about giving it a try. Maybe it was because it was my first MOBA, so I had nothing to compare it to, but the strategic elements completely turned me on. Unlike many, I appreciated the character design from universes of DC that I was never exposed to, and while the gameplay wasn't exactly original, it was still fun and challenging. It's a shame that in its efforts to set itself apart from other popular MOBAs, it became more and more alike these other titles, ironically, borrowing the worst elements from titles like League of Legends and reshaping it unsuccessfully. That, coupled with the poor advertisement strategies and financial disparagements leading to staff shortages, the game was shut down a mere 6 months after its release. Number 4. Gotham CityImposters. Gotham CityImposters was a title that I didn't know what the heck it was. The ads were bizarre, the humor was crude, and the gameplay resembled something like Call of Duty except with slingshots and pink bazookas. I was always being offered this game with free product codes when I would buy games from GameStop. It didn't occur to me to try it, mainly because I knew so little about it. When I finally did decide to try it, just when Steam, the Knight in Cape and Cowl, swung in from the shadows and uplifted the game from depravity, I found I was a little late to the party. Matchmaking was a pain, and I would often wait up to 20 minutes searching for a game, frankly because nobody was playing. As Monolith, the publisher behind Gotham CityImposters, moved on to more promising projects, GCI was caught up in a whirlwind of Titan AAA releases during its launch in 2012, with titles like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Mass Effect 3, and Halo 4, not to mention the fact that the next console generation was just dawning the horizon, further dating the already ugly graphics and art direction of GCI. On its own, Gotham CityImposters was fun while it lasted, but didn't offer much more to the DC universe to keep me interested. As Ashken Esports so pointedly concluded, why would someone play a game where they're pretending to be Batman when they could just play a game where they're actually Batman? Number 5. A title close to my heart, probably one of the best MMOs, if not the best video game of the era. Its remarkable influence will be marked down in the annals of gaming history. The iconic, the revolutionary, the unforgettable Club Penguin. No, seriously, I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. The number 5 spot is left to a title that has probably one of the most controversial development cycles in gaming history, Anthem. One of the more promising titles of the past generation, headed by BioWare, a titan of a company better known for their work on such critically acclaimed titles such as Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. BioWare had established themselves as revolutionary producers of RPGs with compelling storylines and engaging gameplay. When it came time to step up to the plate with a new IP though, BioWare struck out, ultimately resulting in one of the most harshly received titles of the year. The juggle of this IP's development between writers and directors contributed considerably to its downfall. That, coupled with pressure from EA to crunch out more product in less time, and you have the makings of a game more focused on business than fun and leisure. Not to mention the fact that this game just did not scream BioWare. I mean, as I said before, they're known for legendary stories with memorable characters, and stories that were good in both online and offline experiences. The lack of this made Anthem feel like a faceless looter shooter with no identity of its own. In its defense, some best identified it as an Iron Man simulator, flying around in your mech suit fighting baddies, taking in spectacular, admittedly spectacular, dynamic environments featuring underwater elements, wildlife, and collectibles. World exploration was some of the best pastimes this title had to offer. To be honest, at a glance, Anthem is very much like Mass Effect Andromeda. Great gameplay, lackluster story, and missions. Probably why I passed it by. I'd like to thank you also for watching this fun little video. Let me know in the comments what games you'd add to a list of great titles I got the axe to soon. Don't forget to support the channel with a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more tech and gaming related content from yours truly, Cubesteak of the Polyverse. Thank you all again for watching and Godspeed your return.